we have no time to discuss and the question and the discussion. So I'd like to request some comment in the Dr. J to summarize our workshops.
Thank you, Mr. Hong. Thank you all presenter speakers. I'm very impressed all presentation because I am doing also biocultural study on small island nearby my locality. So I saw there, so all the generation keep traditional knowledge, but next generation, all the generation means over 80 years old. The second generation, nearly my age, over 50. But the second generation has very few traditional knowledge. So we are no time because of the over 8 years old means so little time to alive. So we are very need comprehensive and integrative research for conservation of their ecological traditional knowledge. So we have many ideas from your presentations. So Professor Hong already mentioned the motion already adapted this morning. So from the motion, also the UNESCO and IUCN together we make a network, especially in Asia Pacific area. We have no good scientific approach to keep the traditional knowledge and ecological knowledge. So we making network together globally and study for have to start to study to keep the very important, very meaningful ecological traditional knowledge. So we have to make together to keep the conservation of the knowledge. My last comment. So we have no time. We have no time to keep the traditional knowledge. Thank you for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We just finished our workshops, but if you have any questions in the floor side to the presenters, so one or two questions yes, okay. And then after this workshop, we have a photo together in the inside and outside. Anyway.
Excellent presentations by the presenters, but I just wanted to have something about the cultural diversity is different, biodiversity is different, traditional knowledge system is different. So I want that there should be a proper linkage of all these three, because biodiversity includes the diversity which is on the land and which is off the shore. So we are missing the off-the-shore biodiversity in these presentations. We are concerned more with the traditional knowledge system. Traditional knowledge system is there with the land, including the offshore diversity, means the diversity which is concerned with the shoreline. That also should be the part of this. And definitely I wanted to make that point. And it's a very new concept which is coming forward, And it should not only include the Pacific Islands. There are many islands in the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. A very big convention can be thought of, because these islands are very rich in diversity, whether it is cultural diversity, whether it is traditional diversity, and these are the most fragile ecosystems. Even in our in the climate change, probably there will be some islands which will not see in the near future. Maldives is one of the examples, or the islands which have low sea level. So definitely we have to think about it, and we have to react about it, and it can be formed as a convention of islands of the world, not only should be connected with the Asian Pacific. Thank you.
I think I agreed with your ideas, but just with our motion just limited in some Asia Pacific, but we often actually, as you know, where water is flowed by the globe, no limitation and no boundaries, so we are open. Yeah, and any other? Okay, you?
Yes. I would just like to provide a response to his intervention. I agree completely with you that biodiversity and cultural diversity are not the same thing. So what really are we talking about when we say biocultural diversity? From my standpoint, what we're talking about are the diversity and number and diversity of relationships which you have between biodiversity and cultural diversity. And it's precisely in traditional ecological knowledge where you can appreciate this diversity of relationships. If you look at them in detail, you will find thousands upon thousands of linkages, relationships there at cognitive, behavioral, and spiritual levels. And if you take those thousands of linkages in each individual system and then multiply that by the number of thousands of cultural systems and even variations on cultural systems that are conditioned by environmental changes, then this is what we're dealing with. It's sort of a multiplying factor of the diversity, this meeting point of the two kinds.
Thanks, Stanford, for making that point. In my presentation, I couldn't go into that detail, but for sure, the diversity that we see at the global level is made up exactly of the myriad of local diversities that develop through the interaction of local communities with their environment. And as far as the shoreline, I couldn't agree more. I didn't go into that in the example of the Coast Salish people in my region, but the coastline was absolutely essential and continues to be absolutely essential for their livelihood and the way of life. The gathering of shellfish and seaweed and other marine resources in the intertidal area, so that for sure, between the seascape, the landscape and the seascape lies the shoreline, and that is all one.
Okay. Questions? Microphone.
My name is Eun Chil Kim. I'm from the Ecological Society of Korea, working together with Professor Sang Gi-hong. I think that this workshop has the title of Strengthening Biocultural Diversity and Traditional Ecological Knowledge, especially in the island and in the Asia-Pacific regions. I think that it emphasizes the importance of the island and also strengthening those ties. I try to find what would be the next thing for us to think about. I might say about three things. So first thing I might be is that IUCN, the vision, is the right word that values nature. So first thing I think is that we should value the nature of island and island ecosystems. So on that, we should make clear about on this. And second thing is that here we have the biocultural diversity and traditional ecological knowledge. So what we need is to integrate the traditional ecological knowledge to conserve the island's ecosystems. So I think that we might think about. In this sense, what should be urgent for us to think about is that to identify the gaps and challenges in not only strengthening but also integrating our knowledge systems. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions and comments? Because we already passed the 7 minutes, so please keep.
Just very briefly, Dr. Sam, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Yanin Fakasi from Tonga, and my question is in relation to the issue that was brought up by our colleague from India. I think that's a very valid concern. But I also think that there should be an equal emphasis on practices, not only traditional knowledges, but also traditional practices, because at the same time, the practices are the solution that we are seeking, that will help to solve some of the problems we are facing. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, and generally, because we're always in a hurry in the present world, we need shortcuts. But when we talk about traditional knowledge, really what we mean is traditional values, beliefs, spiritual beliefs, knowledge, proper practices. All of that is embodied in the notion of traditional knowledge, at least as I understand it, and many people do too. And we can't separate really the knowledge part from the practice part, or the knowledge part from the beliefs and values that underlie it. So that's where traditional knowledge really becomes a completely holistic concept that link people all the way from the tangible world to the intangible world and the spiritual world. So that's I couldn't agree more with what you have to say.
One very important valid point. Just thank you for giving the opportunity. But I just wanted to add to that point, because governance of island will be definitely different from that of the mainland. So governance has to be in conformity with biodiversity or the biocultural values of that area. At one point we are, because we are expecting that there should be bioculture, means biodiversity along the seashore, along the seascape. So we should have a policy which is very much with the tradition and the belief and the knowledge system of that particular area. Somewhere or the other, we in the island areas, we are promoting more of the travelers. That is a technology-based fishing. So these technologically innovative travelers has to be somewhere or the other has to be curbed, or somewhere has to be suspended in order to increase the biodiversity of the sea. So one has to think in the governance and the policy issues of the islands also, because we generally apply the policies and the laws or the framework which are there in the mainland to the island. So I think one should look into this. Thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, we had already passed the time. But I would like to thank you to you all attendants and the presenters and the supporters and the co-sponsors and many audience and friends. Thank you very much. I would like to close our workshops. I think that this is just the start. Yes. So please join. Please join. Water is open. Okay. Thank you very much. And then we have a photo outside.
Okay.
Welcome to the conference. The following short film contains important information before the conference begins. As this is a multilingual conference, there are people in the audience who don't understand some of the conference languages. When you speak,